Good evening, and welcome to the Monday, December 29th meeting of the City of Worcester Zoning Board of Appeals. My name is Jordan Burke-Powers, and I will chair tonight's meeting. The meeting of the Worcester Zoning Board of Appeals will be conducted in a hybrid manner with both in-person and remote participation. As a preliminary matter to tonight's meeting, I would like to confirm the board members and staff who are present. Board members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Board Member Campanello?
Here.
Board Member Cortez?
Here.
Board Member Barnhagen?
Here.
Board Member Sacco?
Here.
And for city staff, Amy Beth?
Present.
David?
Present.
Michelle?
Present.
Before we start, a few housekeeping notes. Tonight's meeting is being live streamed from the City of Worcester website, and the recording will be available for rebroadcast. This is a public meeting, which means both that it is being recorded and that minutes will be taken and published at a later date. Since no one's online, I'll still do this. The public may participate remotely by calling 1-669-254-5252. And again, the number is 1-669-254-5252 with access code 160-456-4634, hashtag. And again, that access code number is 160-456-4634, hashtag, or using the link shown on the screen. Once an item is called, there will be a brief presentation of the item, followed by any additional comments and clarifications from members of the city staff, then an opportunity for anyone from the public to speak on that item before we proceed to board discussion and action. To manage remote participation during the hybrid meetings and prevent disruptions, all participants are automatically blocked from unmuting themselves, turning on their video, or sending chat messages. For remote participants who would like to comment on an item on our agenda, we ask that you use the raise your hand feature in Zoom during the discussion on the item. If you are joined by phone, you can raise your hand by pressing *9. Again, to raise your hand, that is *9. Staff will then call on members of the public one at a time and give them permission to unmute themselves. If you are joined by phone, you will then be able to unmute yourself by pressing *6. Again, that's *6. Please note that the board appreciates brevity in your comments. To help with the process, we ask that all speakers participating in person use a microphone to please clearly identify yourselves each time you speak. And the first time you speak, please state your city of town of residence for the record. To help maintain an orderly meeting, please address all comments and questions through the chair, that's me, rather than directly to any of the other speakers or applicants. Applicants should be aware that approvals are genuinely conditional. Decisions are typically signed by the board at the next meeting and filed with the city clerk by the following day, beginning the appeal period. It is the applicant's responsibility to address any conditions of approval, and lack of doing so may result in delays or enforcement. Please contact the Planning Division with any questions. Any party aggrieved by a decision of the board has the right of appeal under Mass General Laws, Chapter 40A, Section 17. There are a number of items on our agenda being continued or postponed tonight, which I will read through shortly. If you are here on one of those items, please note that no additional notice will be sent to you before the next meeting. The best thing to do is to call the Planning Division the day prior to our next meeting to confirm if the item will be heard or postponed that night. As it is not uncommon for items to be postponed multiple times before they are heard by this board, I will suggest for the purposes of streamlining our meetings that Board Member Campanello offer to make any motions and that Board Member Cortez second any such motions. In the event either member prefers not to do so, I simply ask that you identify another member to do so. All right, we have several continuances. 91 Cambridge Street, there's a request to continue the public hearing to January 12th, extend the constructive deadline to February 3rd, 2026. Item number 2, 1103 Millbury Street, a request to continue the public hearing to January 12th, 2026, and extend the constructive grant deadline to February 3rd, 2026. Is there a motion on those continuances?
I'd like to make a motion to continue 91 Cambridge Street and 1103 Millbury Street as stated by the chair.
Is there a second?
So move.
On the motion to for continuances, Board Member Campanello.
Yes.
Board Member Cortez.
Yes.
Board Member Barnhagen.
Yes.
Board Member Sacco.
Yes.
All right. There are also two postponements, 26 Milton Street and 28 Milton Street. Both are a request to postpone public hearing to January 12th, 2026, and extend the constructive grant deadline to February 3rd, 2026. Is there a motion on the postponements for 26 Milton Street and 28 Milton Street?
I'd like to make a motion to postpone 26 Milton Street, excuse me, and 28 Milton Street as indicated by this chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
On the motion for postponement, Board Member Campanello,
I abstain.
Board Member Cortez.
Yes.
Board Member Barnhagen,
Yes.
Board Member Sacco.
Yes.
Okay, if you are here for item number 1, 91 Cambridge Street, item number 2, 1103 Millbury Street, item number 3, 26 Milton Street, or item number 4, 28 Milton Street, those will not be heard tonight. If you need to talk to the city, if you want to be notified about those hearings, please do contact the city planning division, and they can let you know when those will be heard. All right. And with that, we go to item number 5, which is 3133 Bridge Street.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Donald O'Neill. I'm a lawyer here in Worcester. I'm here this evening on behalf of MPI Home LLC and RentFest LLC in connection with this property at 31 and 33 Bridgeport Street. There are two different owners, but they involve the same principles. And the lots in question were actually separated out on an A&R plan in 1977, basically two 5,000 square foot lots, but there was a period of, up until recently, of common ownership. The property at 33 Bridgeport Street is vacant, unimproved, was never used for parking or anything of that nature in connection with 31. And up until a few years ago, the only parking that was available for 31 Bridgeport was the driveway, which is shown on the screen to the left of the house. At some point, there was some additional parking that was created. 4 spaces to the rear of the building and 2 spaces in front. So, and I can walk you up, I think, before I get into that, in terms of the relief that we're looking for. The other complication in this case is the lot 33, strike that, 31 is RG5. 33 is actually a portion is RL7 and the other portion is RG5. So the relief that we are requesting varies. It's both going to be three-family, a proposed three-family dwelling, but the relief is just greater in the RL section because of the split loan zone that's involved, and we're going with the greater requirement under RL. So with respect to 31 Bridgeport Street, it's a 5,000 square foot lot, so we're requesting 2,000 feet of relief, and that is consistent with the neighborhood in general, which are primarily 5,000 square foot lots. Same with the frontage in an RG5 that would require 60 feet of frontage. We're proposing 50, so there's 10 feet of relief there. We are creating a new property line, even though the lots have been separate for our purposes for the merger rectification. We need 5 feet of relief. We've got 7.5 feet versus required 8 feet. We also are requesting relief for 2 parking spaces, and part of this submission would entail the removal of the 2 spaces that are in the front yard setback, and that area would be returned to grass. And that's what we're showing, which does allow us to have 4 spaces in the back, which is 2/3 of the requirement, and it's actually more than what had previously been required, which is the driveway on the left, because you could fit more cars there, but not in a workable fashion unless everyone was living, with an extra set of keys for their neighbors' cars. So we are proposing and do show 4 spaces to the rear, and in connection with that, we do need some relief from the current landscape requirements that go along with off-street parking. The existing driveway has, and for quite some time, been against the property line on the left. And what we are requesting is permission to continue that and not to remove that. There's actually not enough width to install, and there's also a retaining wall. But basically, what we're looking to do is to maintain the parking that's there now, with the exception of the elimination of those 2 spaces in front, and the restoration of that area to lawn. The other requirement that, strike that. So that's basically the relief that we're looking for in terms of parking on that lot. The parking also paved area to the rear of the building. There's some additional area that's been gravelled over, and that actually extends over to the property at 33 Bridgeport. So what we would propose to do is to, and you can see it in the rendering on the screen, is to pull that back, and what we would request is permission to pull it back to the property line, which would be pretty much consistent with the rest of it. And that also gives us a little bit more room in order to increase the maneuverability of the vehicles back there. And we do have a recent rendering from Thompson Liston, which does show the 4 spaces to the rear with the dimensions listed. That's one of the conditions or recommendations that staff had requested, and that's either available or will be made available. But the 4 cars do fit, but not with the landscape buffer. Regarding 33 Bridgeport, as I mentioned, because of the split lot provision, we're going with a 9,000 square foot lot requirement. So we're looking for 4 feet of relief on that because, again, we've got 5,000 square feet. We need 25 feet of relief for the frontage because of the different designation for RL. And due to the topography on the site, we're requesting 14 feet of relief for the front yard setback. The front yard setback is based on an alignment provision that uses the 2 abutting properties on either side and also 31 Bridgeport Street to come up with the setback. Instead of 20 feet, it's 14 feet. However, the stairs do extend right to the street, which is basically what they do at 31 currently as well. And in one of the renderings that we had submitted actually shows the steps going down, and not only to the street, but a couple of steps into the street. So one of the provisions that it was a recommendation from staff is that we pull that back so that it doesn't encroach upon the right-of-way. And as a condition of approval, we have no problem with that. And there is a way, basically, what you will need to do is come down and then go back, and then a landing that'll come down. But that would get the stairs out of the right-of-way, but it would also provide the height that you need, basically, given the topography on site. I should also say that this project is going to require site plan approval. So in addition to some of the grading in the back, which exceeds degrees, that would be something which the planning board would be looking at as well. But the actual suggestion in terms of a provision that says that we come up with a alternative stair design is acceptable to us. And we're looking at a couple of different options, but basically haven't settled on one yet. Regarding the parking for 33 Bridgeport, which is shown here, along the left-hand side and then along the rear of the property, we're not able to make the landscape buffer completely. So we're requesting relief for that. I believe where we were able to provide it, we did. The other relief that we would be requesting in this case has to do with part of the review process. There was a concern raised about the turning radius for the two garage spaces. I do have an auto turn analysis, and it does show that the turn can be made, but we would request that those two spaces actually be considered compact spaces, which allows for a smaller vehicle and increases the maneuverability in that location. The special permit that we requested regarding relief from the parking provisions does allow for up to 50% to be compact spaces, and 2 out of, in this case, 5 would be 40%. And the other relief that we would be requesting on that is 1 parking space. We're showing 3 to the rear and 2 garage spaces. I did look at the other conditions that were specified in the staff memo. And as I indicated, there is a recommendation or request that we provide a 3-foot landscape buffer between the parking area on 31 and 33. I, for reasons mentioned, would ask that that provision be dropped and that just go back to the bring the property to the property line, but not with a buffer. And that is consistent with the rest of the driveway that is out there. The other conditions basically are acceptable to the applicant. And there are 3 waivers that are listed on page 6 that I would request and would be happy to answer any questions you have.
City staff.
Through the chair, this is Amy Beth Lathe for the Planning Division. Presently on the premise at 31 Bridgeport Street is a 3-family detached dwelling with non-compliant parking, and at 33 Bridgeport Street is a vacant lot. So to go over the relief quickly, but not so quickly, at 31 Bridgeport Street, they are looking for a variance for relief of 2,000 square feet from the 7,000 square foot minimum lot area requirement for a 3-family detached dwelling in an RG5 zone, a variance for relief of 10 feet from the 60 feet minimum frontage requirement for a 3-family detached dwelling in an RG5 zone, a variance for relief of 0.5 feet from the 8-foot minimum side yard setback requirement for a 3-family detached dwelling in an RG5 zone, a variance for relief of 2 parking spaces from the 6 parking space minimum parking requirements for a 3-family dwelling, a special permit to modify the parking dimensional layout and/or landscaping requirements, and as presented, it was for the reasons that Mr. O'Neill stated. 33 Bridgeport Street, they are looking for a variance for relief of 4,000 square foot from the 9,000 square foot minimum lot area requirement for a 3-family detached dwelling in the RL7 zone. As stated, it is a split-zoned lot, and 33 Bridgeport is subject to the more restrictive zoning. For a variance for relief of 25 feet from the 75-foot minimum frontage requirement for a 3-family detached dwelling in an RL7 zone. a variance for relief of 14 feet from the 14-foot minimum front yard setback requirement for a three-family detached dwelling in an RL7, a special permit to allow the three-family detached dwelling in the RL7 zone, and a special permit to modify the parking and dimensional layout and/or landscaping requirements and/or the number of required parking spaces. And so for that one, it's for the landscape buffers, for the number of parking spaces, and for the compact spaces as stated by Attorney O'Neill. For the comments from staff, I just want to have Attorney O'Neill just acknowledge that staff had identified an error in the legal notice for this application related to the use classification of 33 Bridgeport Street. The application was advertised as both a single and three-family dwelling proposed to be constructed. So I'm just requesting and having Mr. O'Neill acknowledge that he understood and also has chosen to move forward with that error in place.
That's correct. That's correct.
Excellent. So at 33 Bridgeport Street, the applicant is proposing to construct a three-family dwelling with a two-car garage on the first level of the structure and so in the memo, it said 4 parking spaces in the rear, and I'm correcting that to say that we understand that it is only the 3 parking spaces in the rear with the 2 parking spaces in the garage underneath, which is why the special permit is required for the relief of the 1 parking space at 33 Bridgeport Street. And then to clarify, also stated by Mr. O'Neill, that while the 2 properties are held under different corporations, they are controlled by the same entity and have historically been held under common ownership, rendering the 2 merged for zoning purposes. And so to allow for the development to occur at 33 Bridgeport Street, zoning relief is required also for 31 Bridgeport Street to cure the nonconformities related to the parcels being unmerged. So staff has requested that the applicant cure those nonconformities. For by right alternatives at this property, the applicant could construct a 900 square foot ADU on that property by right. And if the dimensional relief is granted for 31 Bridgeport Street, the applicant could construct a single-family dwelling or a 2-family dwelling by right on 33 Bridgeport Street, which would eliminate the need for the special permit. Under our staff questions for the applicant to address, I have to actually, because now we've made some changes since now all of my things are all, in the original design that was available to the board, there was a proposed rear door on the rear elevation, which staff noted led directly into a parking space. So the applicant was asked to redesign that door to a location that would not conflict with the parking spaces. And I will go to, the applicant has proposed to move that door, so that has been remedied. And as the applicant said, this item will have to go for site plan approval after this. And then the other item that we had identified was at the front of the dwelling, there is this large wall. Now that the stairs are contemplated to be redesigned, this might not be as large an issue, but staff had recognized that maybe they should propose something to create more visual interest from the street. But again, if the stairs are redesigned, that might be a moot point. And then there's also a large, just to note, there's a large mature public shade tree in front of the home that DTM is requesting be retained. That is all.
Yeah, I forgot about the tree, but what we have a proposal for that is that one of the things that DTM was suggesting as a condition would be that the sidewalk be repaved as with cement. And one of the things that that was pointed out to me was that currently around the tree, it's a big tree, and there's a sidewalk, it's a paved sidewalk in that area, and in fact, the tree's kind of, you know, doing what trees do and extending into the sidewalk. So our request on that was that provision be modified to provide that we will try to maintain that tree in its current location, and that to the extent that we succeed, and it does look like with the driveway, proposed driveway layout, that it should be possible to do that. But in order to keep the tree alive, we would prefer to have just the pavement, at least on the section where the tree is, because if you have to dig all that out and pour, you know, a concrete sidewalk, that's not going to do the tree any favors. So in terms of the area, which is, you know, across the new driveway or whatever, we could conceivably do concrete in that location and then keep the section where the tree is in pavement, just to be able to not to do too much damage to the roots. And I guess the provision that would be is that if it wasn't possible to retain the tree, that we would plant a replacement tree, and that the sidewalk could go back to, you know, concrete for the entire length. It is a shade tree, so it would require a process through the Parks Department. You know, the intent would be to avoid that, to maintain the tree. But if for any reason that was unsuccessful, then that's what we would propose for a condition. The other thing, too, that I was going to mention was that with the stair reconfiguration, we haven't done the calculations completely yet, but to the front yard impervious area on 33 Bridgeport is, I believe it's 42%. So that to the extent that the additional stairs zigzag adds to an impervious area, I would want to request at least that if needed, that the relief be granted for that provision as well. Although there's reasonable to expect, in fact, that that won't be required, but I'm trying to think ahead as that possibility and request it while I'm here versus having to come back at a later date. But only if needed, if that works. But I think that's covered under the waiver, the special permit for the.
Yeah, it's covered.
Yes.
I was supposed to say, I think it's already covered, but you're clarifying it
Right.
for the record. I got it. Okay. Is anyone here for 31 and 33 Bridgeport Street? Since no one's rushing up. Did anybody join online? Okay.
Patrick Healy is also available from Thompson Listen if there are any engineering questions that anyone had.
Okay. Well, we'll get started with board comments. If you're out there, it's clear that there is space for another three-decker. There's a neighborhood of three-deckers. We appreciate the effort to try to keep some even more additional parking on site by adding garages. So I think that does a lot. And as noted, there's no changes to one of the three-deckers. It's just already non-conforming, which means it's already built and the zoning came after it. For me, this is pretty straightforward. There is you're losing parking because the city's asking you to get rid of parking to make it look a little bit nicer. So that feels like not something we should hold the applicant accountable for, since that's the city's preference on sort of taking away parking to make it look nicer on the street. And, the other relief, I'm comfortable with to keep sort of the interest of keeping cars off, allowing the other setbacks, which are required to sort of keep the drive aisle and keep the sort of parking maneuverability and other aspects in the back. So I'm comfortable with the sort of taking the relief up to the lines for those purposes. I think those are all pretty logical. For the purposes of, I'm comfortable cutting 1B, but I'd love for the board to reflect on that, which is the sort of talking about the impervious surface as noted for the landscape buffer. So that's again for the parking. And then for KI, I just want to note for the city that it says to leave 4 feet minimum for the path, but actually around the tree there isn't 4 feet. So I just want to note that as well, that like if they were to adhere to that perfectly, you would actually have to cut down the tree because there's not enough space in between the tree and the, it's a beautiful tree, and the sidewalk. So we should just note that in the KI, that we, for all purposes, yes, the 4 feet, except for around the tree. And I'm comfortable for the purposes of keeping the tree if possible, but if we don't keep the tree, then go to the 4 feet. Or no, I guess I'll work it out because we would want to replace the tree, but I don't actually know what we would do. But, and then I'm happy for the applicant's suggestion about keeping it paved and not disturbing the tree. It's a beautiful tree. In those sections and where possible, moving to concrete. So I think those are all the things I have. Board Member Campanello.
Through the chair. I'm generally in support of this application and moving it forward. I think the staff called out all of the issues and concerns that I had and made recommendations in accordance to them. However, the potential for there to be that large wall under or around the staircase, I would like to have something there to talk about either landscape detail being provided there or something to break it up, because it's a pretty big flat surface there. And then the other question I had is, could we see an aerial or a survey, just because realizing that the garage stalls are on the side of the building, which will then be in between both of the buildings. And I guess just for the record, in my own spatial kind of ability to think about this, is that there's enough drive aisle space to make that turn for each of those cars?
Yeah, I have actually an auto turn analysis.
Okay.
And I also have a proposed rendering for the, and these came in really late, like 4:45. So I can give you those if that's.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Through the
and
chair, Attorney O'Neill did send that to the city staff very close to when the meeting happened, so I didn't have a chance to incorporate that into the slides.
Yeah, and I was holding it, yeah, basically it's not firm yet, so, but I think what, if we do end up with the landing and then the stairs going back parallel to themselves, that would, I think, eliminate that you would see the stairs, you wouldn't see a flat surface. And if the, but I understand completely what you're saying about the, as originally shown, that would need to be disguised somewhat so that it wouldn't be just looking at a cement exposure. So we could certainly do something to address that, and the expectation is that we're not going to have that because of the change in the stair layout, But if for any reason there weren't, that we could agree to, maybe a lattice work or something like that, if there's an exposed surface like that in front to tie it in to the rest of the building.
Okay.
Or, I'm not sure, or possibly landscaping. I'm not sure how that would work with the deck above.
Potentially a small tree.
But I'm totally open to condition if you want to craft something that,
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to include that. I also want to address that I'm, in support of removing 1B, and I agree with the chair on the amendments to 1K regarding the sidewalk and the tree, like to keep the tree if possible, but understand your concerns around that. In looking at this turning analysis for the cars, it appears that for the second garage that's more into the house, that a tenant or resident could pull in and directly make the turn. However, for the closer to the street garage, they'd have to pull up the driveway and then go in, for both going in and out, if that's what I'm understanding from this.
Patrick Healy should be online. Maybe
Okay.
he might be a better one to respond to that.
Okay.
Through the chair, yes, that's correct. It's a correct understanding of what we're showing. So the nearest garage to the street has difficulty clearing that structural post that's necessary for the building cantilever.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, that's helpful. Okay. Board Member Cortez.
Through the chair, first of all, I think that it's a very well-planned. Some of the questions I had already been addressed through my colleagues, and you have provided the answers. To me, is a very well-done plan. However, with the minor alterations to it, as indicated here, I'm for it also. That in front of the house is like a black shade here. I'm not sure if it's a wall, but I'm eliminating that so it actually shows the clear frontage of the house. Regarding the tree, if whatever can be done to preserve the tree, I'm the person that like to preserve the tree. The explanation on how to do the sidewalk and all of that is already planned, it's already there. By doing that, I think that you can maintain the tree. I'm for maintaining the tree. Other than that, again, what plan?
Yeah, and the tree is definitely something which, I mean, it enhances it would be really nice to be able to keep it, and they want to do everything they can to do that. So that would provide for the ability to protect the roots, and then for some reason it doesn't work, then we can go back to the other alternative. But I think that makes sense to not to disturb it any more than it needs to be.
Regarding parking, I think that, again, it's well planned, the number available parking there. Just curious questions that I didn't see here is, how many bedrooms on each one of the units? Is that, do 2 bedrooms apartments, that 3 apartments for each house, 3 units?
Yeah, I want to say they're 3-bedroom. I've got the
The reason I'm asking the number of, see how the parking was calculated based on
Right.
the bedrooms, and it appears that was done by the staff. But I just like to,
Yeah,
be aware of
I believe I believe they are three-bedroom.
had three.
Three-bedroom, yes. It is, I've got the floor plans here.
Actually,
They're on the screen. The floor plans are on the screen.
all right,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So three bedrooms. I'm actually pleased to hear that. Previous projects around here, it's always built.
One or two.
built
Yeah,
in-
that's right.
and which is 1, 2 apartments, and where did the families with 2 children are going? I mean, no housing built for it. So I'm glad to hear that it would be available apartments for families,
Right.
with 2 kids or so. So
Yes.
I like to hear, I like that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, I'm all set.
Board Member Barton
Through the chair, I don't have too much more to add. I agree with the sentiments expressed earlier about how it's a well-planned application. I agree with the concept of striking 1B and amending K1, and also adding some kind of condition about that concrete slab at the front, if that's necessary, if that's made necessary, because it might not be because of the change of the staircase, but if it is still there, I think that condition might be useful to put in there about making sure it's not just a uniform block. But otherwise, I will defer to the comments that have already been made.
Board Member Sacco.
Through the chair, I agree with the rest of the board in this one. I think it's an organized, well-drawn-out proposal. I think given the by right development alternatives with the dimensional relief, to build a 1 or 2 family, I think fitting a multifamily 3-family with 3 bedrooms each side fits the neighborhood, and I'm full support of this one.
Okay.
The Chair, I just want to get the board feedback, just given the drive aisle turns, it is a bit wonky. Just making sure that everyone's reviewed that and understands, it's a little different. I understand it's achievable, but just understanding that first garage, they have to go up their driveway and then down and around. I don't think it's the worst, design offense, but it's definitely something to note.
It's easier in my driveway.
Yeah, and all I can say to that is it's tight, for sure. But those would be assigned spaces, so it's not like people are going to be coming in and out of them who've never made the maneuver before, and whoever, you know what I mean? If that's their parking space, they're going to have a smaller vehicle, and they're going to have to, they will get accustomed to it, I would think, in a short period of time. So it's not like shouldn't be a new experience for every time somebody pulls in. But it also gives us, it's hard to get 5 parking spaces on a 5,000 square foot lot, with a building this size. But I think, it does, we're very close to meeting the requirement, and I think that would be a trade-off that whoever has it will just have to adjust to it. And this will be looked at also by the planning board as well, but they did, it does work with a little extra maneuvering.
All right, well, for me spatially, that would be a tough one, but it's, it's for somebody, it's not for me, so. And then the other thing was just wanting to write in that condition about the architectural and/or landscape detail to the front of the building if the staircase does not then wrap into that front portion under the doorway, under the main entrance.
Correct. And that's acceptable to the applicant.
You actually had the better, that was
Through-
almost
through the
exactly
chair.
the wording I was going to have.
Yeah, there is a condition, 1E, that already states that at 33 Bridgeport, provide a decorative detail or landscaping
Thank you.
for the wall under the front door to increase visual interest on the front of the structure, if that works for you, or we could amend that
No,
condition.
thank you.
And then secondarily, I'm also going to offer to the board, if this is something that you're interested, that you could add a condition of approval under the perpetual conditions, that the parking shall be assigned by unit and to avoid the need to shuffle vehicles between tenants.
Sounds good. Number 6. And then just for, just my other suggestion for K, to amend KI to reflect the conversation, which say like 4-foot minimum except around the tree, and to replace with concrete except with portions around the roots of the tree, so to reflect the conversation. And that if, we don't sort of have anything if it doesn't get kept, so I want to make sure we either add that to KI or have it like K4 or 4I, I don't know, that says like if something were to happen with the tree, that they would replace the tree in kind, and put concrete across. So something to add that additional to what the applicant suggested.
Mr. Chairman, could I say one other thing? If we could also have a provision which just says that, that in connection with the front stair redesign, that to the extent that, if needed, relief from the impervious coverage to allow for the new stair design. And again, I don't think it will, because it's, we've got 8% of the front yard to work with, and you're going to be eliminating some of the run that goes to the street, but just to the extent that it was required that, that the relief be there for that, but only if needed.
Okay, I don't think we need it as a recommendation, but I guess we can make it the new J if we drop B. So if that makes sense to me, to just allow for impervious, increase of impervious for the stairs.
Through the chair, just to clarify, so you're asking for relief of an unspecified amount based on a condition that we don't have, correct? And relative to impervious calculation, I'm just trying to make sure I understand what you're asking, because it's somewhat unusual.
Well, then the reason I'm asking that is the stairs would be open. We're proposing a wooden construction. I don't know whether that's really even impervious, because certainly the rain falls on it, goes through it. To the extent that it's not deemed impervious, then we don't need it, for sure. But I didn't know whether the area under the stairs would be considered impervious, and I don't really see anything in the ordinance that properly answers that question, but that's I'm just trying to make sure that I don't run into a problem with that. But
There's not, just to clarify, you're not currently requesting anything related to impervious. So this would be an additional request under the special permit of an amount that's unspecified to accommodate a condition which may or may not end up being true.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. I mean, if the board is wishing to grant that, it's not something we typically would advise in terms of staff, because it's an unclear amount. I understand the concern. Typically, I think we would treat stairs as impervious as part of a structure. Without seeing the specific spec, can't say. I don't know that our staff identified or raised a concern related to the impervious threshold, which in this zoning district, is it 50%, Amy Beth? We're in RG?
Yeah, it's because of the RG, no, it's the RL.
This is the RL.
It's the
still,
RL
yeah, so
7.
it's still 50% in
It's still
the
50%.
RL. So I don't, maybe we can go back to, can we go back to the civil plan? I'm sorry, I didn't realize that there was an outstanding question with this regard.
I mean, 8%'s a lot for stairwells, but you're just unlikely to grab it, but I understand the concern.
Through the chair, is this something that the planning board might consider if and when it
It's,
comes to it?
except it's a variance. If it gets picked up, it's ours
Yeah.
to pick up. So basically, it's like there's a chance if they do the stairs, depending on how they organize the stairs to be also within the code, that it could pick up the 50%, although unlikely, but possible.
Can Mr. Healy do the calculation really quickly to confirm if they would exceed that threshold? I don't know if he's able
Just a
to
lot.
do
It's
the
like
math.
8% on this. That's I mean, it's hard for me to imagine how you're getting that much.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna, I don't think we're going to trigger it. I mean, I suppose if we had a provision that the stairs, alternative to stair design, provided the same, with the condition that it not exceed 50%, and then, I mean, we could,
Well, we don't need to
Maybe do it
condition
that
because it's
way.
already the rules. The 50% is already the variance. So we wouldn't even need to condition it, as long as it stays within 50 for the lot.
right, yeah.
I mean, just appearance-wise, it looks like it's less than half.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, how are you going to trigger it? It'd be some pretty awesome stairs.
I don't know if
Mr. Chair?
perfect.
Yes.
Hi, Mr. Chair. This is Patrick Healy from Thompson Liston. So we're dealing with such a small area here from the front wall of the building to the front property line is only 350 square feet to begin with, the 50%. So we're currently at 42%, which only leaves us, 60, 70 square feet to play with. So if I were to switch the stair to be a switchback, I'm adding some square footage for the stairs themselves, but then I have to come down to a landing onto a walk, and that's what I haven't quantified yet. So I'm not so much concerned with the stairs as where do folks go when they come down the stairs. We don't want them on the, 3-to-1 grass slope. I've got to bring them down on a walk, either to the driveway or to the street.
So the problem is that it doesn't get picked up by the variance. It could be picked up by the special permit, but we would have to condition it in such a way that it's not sort of an indefinite amount of space, but does the thing you want it to do, which is allow for the staircase. So I guess if the staff feels comfortable, I would be okay conditioning something that says that they are allowed to work with it, that the special permit allows for sort of reconfiguration of the staircase and a landing, but should not exceed what's needed.
I think if we could just put a cap on the percent. So is that 55%? Patrick, would that be?
Yes.
You can,
Mr. Chair, if I just take a 5-foot walk times the 14 feet of depth from the sidewalk to the building, that amounts to 70 square feet. That puts me at 60% total. So I think that's a reasonable cap,
All right, 60%.
if the board's open to that.
I think as long as there's a specific amount and everyone has an understanding of what it's for, if that's the board's prerogative, you can include
Okay.
that. Just want to be clear, it's not
Yes,
the
no,
whole
thank you
thing,
for the flag, yeah. I think that's right. So we'll put we'll cap it at 60%, and we'll say it's for the staircase and the landing associated with the staircase.
I'm pretty sure we can work within that. Thank you.
Okay, that feels fair. Thank you for the flag.
Okay.
All right. Anything else? Okay, I'll take a motion to close with these amended recommendations.
I'd like to make a motion to close.
Is there a second?
Second.
On the motion to close, Board Member Campanello,
Yes.
Board Member Cortez?
Yes.
Board Member Barnhagen?
Yes.
Board Member Sacco?
Yes.
And my vote's yes. Is there a motion on 31 and 33 Bridgeport Street?
All right. I'd like to make a motion for 31 Bridgeport Street for variance for relief of 2,000 square feet from the 7,000 square foot minimum lot area requirement for a 3-family detached dwelling in an RG5 zoning district. For a variance for relief of 10 feet from the 60-foot minimum frontage requirement for a 3-family detached dwelling in an RG5 zoning district. For a variance for relief of 0.5 feet from the 8-foot minimum side yard setback requirement for a 3-family detached dwelling in an RG5 zoning district. For a variance for relief of 2 parking spaces from the 6 parking space minimum parking requirements for a 3-family dwelling. and for a special permit to modify the parking dimensional layout and/or landscaping requirements, loading requirements, and/or the number of required parking spaces. And for 33 Bridgeport Street, for a variance for relief of 4,000 square foot from the 9,000 square foot minimum lot area requirement for three-family detached dwelling in an RL7 zoning district. For a variance for relief of 25 feet from the 75-foot minimum frontage requirement for a three-family detached dwelling in an RL7 zoning district. For a variance for relief of 14 feet from the 14-foot minimum front yard setback requirement for a three-family detached dwelling in an RL7 zoning district. For a special permit to allow a three-family detached dwelling in an RL7 zone. And for a special permit to modify parking dimensional layout and/or landscaping requirements, loading requirements, and/or the number of required parking spaces, including the recommendations made by staff on pages 5 of 9, including the removal of 1B for the amendment to K1, to reflect our conversation regarding the ability to keep the tree or replace the tree and continue the sidewalk in concrete. And for the addition of perpetual number 6, that the parking shall be assigned by unit. And for the addition through, as reflected in our discussion, to allow for 60% impervious surface for the adjustment of the staircase and/or the landing associated with the staircase, and for the waivers as requested by the applicant on page 6 of 9.
Is there a second? Oh, is there a second?
So move.
This is really good. On the motion, Board Member Campanello,
Yes.
Board Member Cortez.
Yes.
Board Member Bardhagen,
Yes.
Board Member Sacco.
Yes.
My vote's yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, is there a motion for a 5-minute recess?
Make a motion for a 5-minute recess.
All in favor?
Second.
All right.
Aye.
We'll be back at 6:32. All right, next up is 8 Paradox Drive.
Good evening, everyone. Mr. Chair and members of the board, just for the record, Joshua Lee Smith. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Bowditch and Dewey. I'm here with the applicant as well as the property owner. This is a relatively straightforward request for a variance. The variance that we're seeking pertains to the minimum frontage requirement. As you can see here, as shown, the property currently is a split-zoned property. My client is looking to split the property, split the lot, and erect and construct a single-family dwelling on the balance of what would be the new lot. So currently on the property is an existing single-family dwelling to the north along Paradox Drive. And then to the south in the green area is the undeveloped portion where my client is looking to, as I said, construct a new single-family dwelling. Just to give a sense of the approximate size and style of the new dwelling that my client is considering, it would be in the nature of other single-family dwellings that are in this neighborhood. So approximately 2,500 square foot building. It would be likely some type of a split entry type of a structure. And again, that would be consistent with a lot of the other single-family dwellings that are in this neighborhood. As I said, the only relief that we're seeking here is with respect to the minimum frontage requirement as set forth in the DPRS memo. There's an 80-foot minimum requirement. We are seeking relief of 12 feet. I do want to underscore the fact that the lots, the resulting lots that would be created as a result of splitting or dividing the lot, both of the lots would more than comply with the minimum lot requirement. So the lots will be relatively large in size, and again, consistent with the other lots in the neighborhood, larger than a lot of the lots that are in the neighborhood. And so that's pretty much it. As I said, relatively straightforward. We have the DPRS memo with us, and we're in agreement with all of them. There are a couple of minor conditions. One of the conditions we can talk about in a moment with respect to the tree clearing, but overall, we're in agreement with the comments and thoughts as set forth in the DPRS memo. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
City staff.
Through the chair, this is Amy Beth Lath for the Planning Division. For 8 Paradox Drive, presently on the premise is a single-family detached dwelling, and as stated, the applicant proposes to divide the property into 2 lots. They're seeking a variance for the lot with the existing dwelling for relief of 12 feet from the 80-foot minimum frontage requirement for a single-family detached dwelling in an RS10 zone. Is that right? Yes.
I think, yeah, the existing.
Yes, the existing,
is in
correct.
RS10. Yep.
Correct.
Exactly.
The parcel is split zoned, RS10 to the northeast, RS7 to the southwest. The applicant is seeking to divide the lot into 2, which would allow the proposed lot to be primarily within the RS7 zoning district, with the existing dwelling remaining primarily in the RS10 zoned portion of the existing lot. Staff notes that the proposed Lot 2 will remain split zoned, so if any portion of a structure is located within the RS10 zoned portion, the more restrictive zoning requirements may apply or will apply and may result in the need for additional relief. There's a small retaining wall that runs along the west side of the proposed property line and into the proposed lot. Just pointing that out, that the existing lot and the proposed lot, there is a slight elevation change between the 2 lots. The applicant will be constructing a single-family detached dwelling on the newly created lot, but has not provided architectural or civil plans for construction depicting the proposed construction or layout of a new single-family dwelling on the proposed Lot 2. Without a site layout to review, staff is unable to confirm the proposed construction complies with all zoning requirements such as setbacks, driveway standards, landscaping, etc. And staff is recommending that the applicant do provide this information. As development alternatives to what is being proposed. The applicant could construct an accessory dwelling unit with a maximum square footage of 900 square feet on the property by right. And the applicant could also petition to City Council to rezone the property to be fully located in the RS7 zone to eliminate the split zoning affecting the lot, which would in turn eliminate the need for any zoning relief, as only 65 feet of frontage is required in the RS7 zone.
Okay. If the applicant would like to discuss the recommendations they'd like to talk further about, and then we'll open it up to
The conditions, Mr. Chair?
yes, please.
Sure. So one of the conditions pertains to tree clearing. As you could tell from the aerial, there will be some tree clearing that would be required in order to accommodate the new structure. So item 1B in the staff memo mentions any trees removed from Lot 2 shall be replaced at a ratio of 1 to 1. Couple things that we wanted to point out. So, and one of those, if you could jump to the photograph that shows the street view, you can see on the right side there are some small-ish privacy trees that run along the frontage, along the street, and where those are where the developed lot would be. First, we want to exclude those from this 1-to-1 ratio. My client, to the extent those trees could possibly be relocated, preserved and relocated elsewhere, he may want to be able to try that. But in terms of a ratio, that's a lot of trees there. I don't think that was the intent of staff with respect to that ratio. And in addition to that, we'd also request, as opposed to a 1-to-1 replacement, we'd request a 1-to-2. So for every tree that does get removed in the rear, again, excluding these ones along the front, for every tree that gets removed, for every 2 that gets removed, 1 would be replaced. That's the only modification that we'd request with respect to either of these conditions of approval.
I want to highlight for the applicant, I guess I'll ask this question before we go on, that the staff is requesting that you have a final revision of a site plan for the second lot before sort of this gets issued and so forth. And so I just want to make sure that the applicant that's acceptable to the
Yeah, so,
applicant.
Mr. Chair, the way the DPRS memo reads is the header here is prior to the issuance of the building permit.
Yes, before the building permit.
Yes, my client fully understands 100% that a building permit, full designs, code compliant designs would have to be submitted to the building department in order for a building permit to be issued.
Before the building permit. Okay,
Yeah.
yep, that's fine. Okay, is anyone, if anyone's here for 8 Paradox Drive, please come forward, yep. Just state your name and city and town of residence, and if the applicant could just make space at the front here for people, thank you. Just state your name and city and town of residence.
Good evening to the chair and to the board, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm Dr. Barbara Zhang. I'm a retired Worcester State professor. I live at 3 Paradox Drive in Worcester, and I've lived there since 2004. I have to tell you, I have a sense of deja vu standing here. About 8 or 9 years ago in this very room, abutters of 12 Paradox Drive were asked to respond for a zoning variance, R10 to R7. That petitioner wanted to build on the new property. The current petitioner's father spoke against that for some very, very good reasons. I spoke against it for a couple of reasons. The hill we live on is full of water. We're in the Blackstone River watershed. Paradox Drive, when water comes down the hill, it goes down Beaconsfield Road. And if you know the topography, there's Beaconsfield and Chesterfield, and there's a ravine. And so the water goes there and eventually goes to the Blackstone. So given this, last time, I asked that the zoning board stipulate an environmental impact study should the variance be approved. It was approved, but no environmental impact study was done. Construction began. When it ended, I spent about $10,000 for water remediation in my basement. I'm on the water table across the street from this current property. My neighbor at 2 Paradox Drive, who's also here tonight, spent thousands of dollars on water remediation in her basement. Next door at 5 Paradox, more water remediation. Throughout the building phase of that particular house on that lot, which was much bigger than the picture that they showed us at the hearing, silt, rock, water came pouring down into the street and into the city's drains. Well, I think you've addressed some of this. I examined the current petitioner's application, and I didn't see the intention of what would be built on this new lot. Should it be a single-family home, a single-family home and a garage, a big garage to house all the equipment for his landscaping business? I don't know. It wasn't clear to me from reading the application. It's already, and like where would the driveways be for this new property? It's already really difficult to pull out onto Paradox Drive because it's the hill. You can't often see what's coming down the hill. And with vehicles parked across the street, I've been hit almost a couple of times because I can't see what's coming down, and there's no place for cars to go. I want to address one thing. The lawyer just mentioned that the houses in the neighborhood are 2,500 square feet. Mine is 1,350 across the street. It's smaller. Anyway, let me continue. My biggest concern about this is environmental. Once again, I humbly request an environmental impact study before you decide what to do about the zoning variation. I reviewed the topo map in the application. Whatever is planned, whatever construction goes on is going to disturb the hill behind that property. Look at those lines. All of us who are downhill, which is everybody in this room who came tonight, will be dealing with excess water again. An environmental impact study could also examine the effects of the construction on the wildlife corridor that is at the edge of that property. So behind my house, a couple houses up, 7 Paradox, there is a vernal pool. Deer come through, they come up through my yard, cross Paradox, and go up along the property line into the woods. So deer, wild turkeys, possums, raccoons, foxes, other animals move through that corridor. In Worcester, we've seen so much habitat destruction, and I'm wondering whether we should be adding even more. So thank you for listening to my concerns, and I appreciate your attention.
Thank you. I guess to the city staff, if there is a detention, if there's a, I guess, does this get triggered by the Conservation Commission? Because if water is flowing to, obviously it would, but if it's far enough away from this, that's the reason it wouldn't be triggered, so.
Yeah, through the chair. So there's nothing jurisdictional within the area with the exception of catch basins. So if work within 100 feet of a storm drain inlet
Right.
ends up being in excess of 5,000 square feet, if it disturbs slopes that are 15%, it's not clear if that will happen. So I would not rely on, if you have a concern about that, I would not rely on it going in front of the Conservation Commission because there is a circumstance under which it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would say my sort of quick math, back of the thing math is that this is already an exposed area. And so by exposed, I mean, there's just already grass there in the places where you would want to build. So if there was any sort of like changes to the elevation, changes to the back that were excess, that it probably would trigger it, but it doesn't seem like, it seems like based again on, because we don't have it feels like it's hard for me to see triggering it, but I just wanted to make sure for the people here, if there was another place for oversight, or if this is going to be last place, and it sounds like this would be last place. Okay, other folks who've come forward, please just state your name.
If I could just respond, I'm
Yes,
Jesse
absolutely, for
Abdelmar,
me.
8 Paradox Drive. I own the house and the lot. Just regarding the lot is completely dry. There was a I guess, frog pond or fish pond that was in that lot from 19, what? Man-made from 1950-something. When we moved in, it was there, just a dry lot. So that went down 6, 7 feet. It was completely dry. That lot has been dry. There's grass on that. It's also completely level. There wouldn't be any building on the hillside. It does go back, and even where it does go back, it is level. The prior property that the woman talked about was right next to us, uphill, and that lot was wet, and it was more of a slope. We never had any water issues with the house next door to us, and she did mention I did protest because I obviously didn't want a house right next to me at the time, and I said all the things that she said, but we didn't find any issues with it. They're great neighbors. It didn't increase the traffic. Nobody noticed. The house fits into the neighborhood. And also, you know, having it close, the RS7 cuts across. You can see the RS7 cuts across, so the three houses at the bottom of Paradox there, they're all at RS7, and the one across the street, and the one next to us is RS7 as well. So, you know, putting a house there will certainly fit within the neighborhood, the structure of the neighborhood. Yeah, RS7 requirements, and as the attorney mentioned, the lot is big enough to support both an RS10 and RS7 on its own. Yeah.
If other folks would like to testify who've come, please just state your name, city of town of residence.
Good night, everyone. My name is Liz Cole. I'm at 19 Paradox, so I'm further up the road, a little bit less impact as Barbara and the other members on our street. So my concern is more about neighborhood safety, the quality of life, compliance with zoning, and municipal bylaws. We already experience frequent issues in congestions, blocked sight lines, noise, and over-occupancy. Any changes that increase density or traffic must be evaluated through the lens with enforced safeguards. I also want to note for the record that after my notice, or a couple members on the street went out, the residents at this Paradox Drive came to, on Sunday, to everybody in the neighborhood, pretty much asking us, everybody who lived there, what our concerns were. And I felt a little uncomfortable about that because I think that all of that should be done in here and addressed here. And I didn't feel comfortable with the neighbors coming like, hey, what do you think about this? I think we should just leave it here and let's leave everything in this room and not make neighbors feel uncomfortable about the decisions that they feel, coming directly, ringing on their doors. But my concerns is more about parking and traffic. On-street parking, there's a lot of on-street parking. They have a landscape company, so there's like at least a minimum of 3 trucks. I actually have a picture that I brought with me of like when they have the trucks lined up along the street. And when you see that corner, you come around the corner going on Paradox, it turns into a 1 lane and you constantly have to wait for the vehicle coming down the road to go past. And back and forth, it becomes a 1 lane traffic because they have these big trucks parked all along the side of the road. Now, they did state to me when they came by on Sunday that they're legally parked there. However, it's not about them being legally parked, it's about the safety. One of my biggest concerns I want to know is, has this gone through the emergency and public safety? Has the fire department reviewed turns, radius, and reasonable access to the street? What happens if emergency vehicles cannot pass because of these trucks that are parked there? Does the proposed comply with the current zoning clarification, or would it increase the density and some of the changes? Is the property currently operating fully in the compliance with all coding and bylaws? What protection exists if the use expands beyond what is legally approved? How many registered vehicles are associated with the property now and under the proposal? Sorry, my questions are really more about just making sure that they have a lot of vehicles. Cool, wonderful, good for you. However, it's an inconvenience for everybody else that lives there in terms of getting by on the street, because everybody knows that they have tons of vehicles parked there, making it really difficult for everybody to pass up and down the street. So that's pretty much my big concern.
Thanks.
Just to respond,
Wait, before you respond, let me answer some questions, and then I like to always make sure to remind everyone that any conversation should go through me. So just really quickly, we actually ask applicants to meet with neighbors beforehand, so I'm sorry that was alarming. It's actually a normal request from the zoning board to see if they've met with residents beforehand. And so I just want to say that that's actually them following our instructions, not the other way around, just for that clarification. And it's noted that like sometimes people don't like that, but we always ask it. So that's a good thing to note. So thank you very much. If there's any if you have any questions about the current property and the whether or not they're following any rules, the enforcement is here. You can get their card beforehand. You can definitely call them if you have any concerns. We don't deal with are they legally parking or not before us? That's not something we can take into consideration, but it is something you can definitely raise with the city through the enforcement department if you have any of those concerns. And in terms of any plans that come before us, they do get over the fire department and emergency do see everything that beforehand and issue any sort of recommendations or flags or changes. So when they come before to get a building permit, they'll be required to go through that process to make sure. So the answer is yes, that does happen. It happens every time. And if you have any concerns through that process, please do talk to inspectional services. They can inform you sort of where it does get triggered, where it doesn't get triggered, what pieces. But I just wanted to answer those questions, pieces of it. If the applicant has any thoughts directed at me, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Powers. Just wanted to clarify. So my two sons, 24 and 20, had started a landscaping business a few years ago. So these trucks they talked about were pickup trucks. They were parked. I did talk to city parking enforcement. Everything was okay. We did get a ticket once for an expired inspection sticker, remedied that. They have secured a lot since then. Their business has grown, so these trucks are no longer here. Occasionally, one of the pickup trucks, if my son is driving it, it's also a daily driver for him, just a Ford pickup truck with a plow on it. So he will park it in front of the house, but it's not storage. It's not storage. There's no equipment there any longer. There's no trucks. They're all at a lot that is rented by my son. So that, I know that doesn't impact this decision, but just to clarify for the neighbors, that's something we tried to talk to them when we went around the neighborhood after your recommendation. And we weren't greeted in the most friendly manner in some cases. Thank you.
If other folks would like to come forward and testify on 3133, 8 Paradox Drive, I apologize. Okay. Is anybody online? Okay. There's a lot of I want to be careful because there's things that happen with neighbors that is a problem that you should talk to the city about, but isn't our purview. So I just want to say that. I hear some of these things, but there are legal things that we can consider and things that we can't consider. So what we can consider for this is, does the area for this, so there's a question about density, there's a question about can these lots sort of substantiate a new single-family house, and those are the questions that we can sort of consider before us. And so when looking at those things, I was out there, I try to look at the site, we have a sense, we see the plans, and so according to the zoning, the area, the whole total area of this, there's plenty of space to support a single-family house. There are limitations on how big that single-family house can be, but it is a large enough lot to have another single-family lot there. And so that is the thing that we can, so if they wanted to do more density than what is possible, we would consider that, and we would say it would have to, there'd be other considerations. But because it's a single-family zone, it can substantiate that currently, so much so that it's likely, unless they do something really creative, that it's such a big lot that they won't even trigger oversight from us for the single family. that that's how big this lot is, that it does not even trigger our oversight. So the fact that there's even this hearing is actually for the one that's already there. It's not even for the lot that would be created. So that's how much this lot can substantiate a single-family zone. And so in terms of, I was on the Conservation Commission for almost 7 years, and so I think a lot about water flow, water runoff. 12 certainly would cause a lot of water runoff into. This lot is a little bit more flat. If they do go into the back where it's sloped, that would then be a concern and would in fact trigger a conservation. So again, if you see something, please contact the city, let them know. Those are the things. So because so much of the lot and likely where they're building is not up into the hill, it's unlikely that it's going to trigger any sort of oversight because the portion that they're likely to build on is flat and far enough away from catch basins. So I want to say that again, that if you see something that feels like, I'm not sure that that's exactly what was testified to here, please do contact the city and let them know. That is their job for inspectional services. But from what I saw in person and what I'm seeing on the plans, it's the reason it's not getting triggered by those boards is because it's a single family zone, just is a single family home in a plot that has plenty of space. Is just unlikely to trigger much oversight, which is sort of the purpose of building these places is, right, there's space to do it. So for those reasons, this is for the purposes of zoning board, what we can oversee, which again, the concerns that you raise are concerns that you should talk to the city about, but aren't legally what we are allowed to consider. For the things that we are legally allowed to consider, 12 feet from the 80 foot for a house that already exists from the frontage is a minimal request. And so I feel comfortable moving it forward. But obviously, and I will ask the applicant if they will request the one waiver that's on page 305 of the staff memo.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so with that, I will go to the other board members since I'm only one vote. Board Member Campanello.
Through the chair, thank you very much for summarizing all the thoughts and feelings I had. I think that it's very important when abutters come forward and address their concerns that we take pause and really consider what they have to say. And I understand and I appreciate that you've shown up today. And then going back to what's within our scope and what's in front of us, just noting that the request is on the existing lot after this is divided, that there's substantial space to build on the other lot, makes this, from a zoning board perspective, a easier decision to make. My question, and this is just semantics, is why are they referred to as Lot 2 and 3? And so we're approving for Lot 3, which is the existing, and just wondering how that came to be.
Through the chair, as opposed to 1 and 2?
Yes.
Me asking that question, I obviously didn't recall that it was labeled as 2 and 3. Do we have insight on that?
Maybe because,
You have to say your name before- you have to say your name
Jason Abdelnour.
Thank you.
I'm the applicant. Maybe because the first house on Paradox, 2 Paradox, could be viewed as Lot 1. I don't know. Is that how it is on the city map, maybe?
It's on the city map.
Okay.
So I think that could be it.
Was just curious for that. And then I guess just another note, especially when dealing with, neighbor concerns, is just, it sometimes is difficult to approve something that, there's no plans for that Lot 2. It's this unknown, and that can create cause and concern for people. But seeing that the potential build on Lot 2 will be within all of the zoning requirements for that, does show, that it shows that there's enough space for it, because it's not triggering, as you say, any more requirements, variances or relief in front of our board. And if it does, then you'll have to come back for that. So with those issues addressed, I'm comfortable moving this forward.
And I apologize, I didn't address this in my thoughts, and I'd love the board to weigh in on, I'm comfortable excluding the front trees, so to amend 1B to capture that. And I'm curious what other boards, I'm sort of on the fence about the applicant's request to go 1 to 2 as opposed to 1 to 1. And so I'm curious what other board members feel about that as well.
Through the chair, thank you for bringing that up, because I made notes on that. I'm fine with excluding that front row of trees if they're classified as trees from that calculation. However, I'm not okay with moving for a 2 to 1, and I'd like to keep it a ratio of 1 to 1.
Board Member Cortez.
Through the chair. Thank you for, what presentation, and thank you for the abutters to come in and express your concerns. I'm hearing concerns about environment. We have concerns about parking, traffic, and noise, commotion, and all of that. I did listen to it. However, the chair has very nicely explained what is before us. We've been asked to approve to divide one lot into two lots. What's going to be built in the new lot, lot number 2, there's no plan yet. So we don't have a plan before us to determine and to discuss what is going to be the impact on traffic, on environment, or anything like that. So when that comes before us, which was already explained in different words, when it comes before us, we see what the impact is and what is the real concerns about it, and we can deal with that. I don't have anything before me, so I can answer in a better way. So basically, what is request from us, I just don't see, besides what the chair and the other members are indicating, what is buildable there, what the rights are. Other than that, I just have no other comments in opposition or in forward. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Board Member Barnhagen.
Through the chair, I think everyone said it really well. I don't want to belabor it, but you have neighbor concerns which are heard and should be considered, but on the other hand, you have what are we actually looking at here? And as mentioned, it's just splitting the lot for now. If the existing lot, lot 3, were in the RS7 zone, it would actually meet all of the requirements. And it's just by a happenstance that you have the split zoning there that requires the higher frontage requirement. That is the only reason we're before us. We're not here for any parking concerns. There's no variances requested for parking, anything like that. However, with the concerns about the water flow, it's another reason for me to echo Board Member Campanello. I don't think I'm going to be okay with reducing the 1-for-1 replacement. I think if a tree comes down, a tree should go up. That will help with the water situation, regardless of what is put on Lot 2. So for me, I think I want to keep the 1-to-1. Thank you.
Board Member Sacco.
Through the chair, it's a tough being the anger on these cases because everyone says everything pretty well. I think it was all summed up by the rest of the board. No additional comment personally on my end.
Okay, hearing that, what I would suggest is that we amend 1B to stay the same, but add excluding the trees in the front, as explained by the applicant, if they are trees, which I don't actually think they might be 2.5, but it'd be hard to, I think most of them weren't. I didn't measure them when I was out there, but they did not look like they triggered it. And with that, I'll take a motion on the hearing.
I'd like to close the hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
On the motion to close, Board Member Campanello?
Yes.
Board Member Cortez?
Yes.
Board Member Barnhagen?
Yes.
Board Member Sacco?
Yes.
And my vote's yes. Is there a motion on 8 Paradox Drive?
I'd like to make a motion for 8 Paradox Drive, AKA Lot 3, for variance for relief of 12 feet from the 80-foot minimum frontage requirement for a single-family detached dwelling in an RS10 zone, including the recommendations by staff on page 3 of 5 of the memo, amending 1B to state excluding the front row of trees and to keep the 1-to-1 ratio of trees to be replaced, and for the waivers as requested by the applicant on page 3 of 5 of the staff memo.
Is there a second?
So move.
On the motion, Board Member Campanello,
Yes.
Board Member Cortez.
Yes.
Board Member Bartenhagen,
Yes.
Board Member Sacco.
Yes.
My vote's yes. All right, this has been approved, but I do want to, again, ask that the neighbors, if you want to get the contact information for the inspectional services and the planning division, for the things that they can cover, that we can't cover, that you have concerns for, please do contact them. And I apologize. Thank you very much. Okay,
Thank you.
next up is 11 Canterbury Street. Back again.
Okay, all right. Evening again. Still Joshua Lee Smith, attorney with Bowditch and Dewey, and with respect to this application, we are seeking a special permit for something that is a little bit unique as far as the usual applications that I bring before the board. My client is a nonprofit cat rescue organization. They are seeking to lease some space within an existing industrial building in order to provide quarantine services for rescue cats. Essentially, the way this works is that a cat will be identified for adoption, and for those kittens that come from out of state, there's a 48-hour quarantine period. And so my client, as a nonprofit organization, they bring the cats in, they house them for that 48-hour period. They schedule a time for either pickup or they bring the cats to the ultimate destination, and then they're done. As set forth in the DPRS memo, my client is anticipating about 20 plus or minus cats, kittens to be at the premises at any one time. As shown here in this illustration, the blue hatched area is the portion of that existing building that would be used to house the cats, again, for that very brief 48-hour period. The other item that I do want to mention is that as part of their operations, this is not a daily thing. This quarantine operation would occur once a month. The vast majority of times, this would be a once-a-month type of an event. So the cats would come in, they'd stay for 48 hours, and then they would be gone, all of them. So that's what we're seeking. The property itself is a lot more complex than the process that I just described in terms of what my client is looking to do in terms of quarantining cats. There are other occupants at the site. I believe there's 2 other occupants, one of which is a daycare, which shares that building, basically everything in that floor plan, excluding the blue area, where my client is looking to occupy. And then in the rear portion, there is an automobile services operation in the back. So that's really the extent of the activity at the site. But otherwise, pretty straightforward operation, and this does require a special permit even in this manufacturing district. So happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
City staff.
Through the chair, this is Amy Beth Lath for the Planning Division. As stated, the applicant is seeking a special permit to allow a kennel use in the MG2 zone. Currently on the premise, there are 2 commercial buildings containing a daycare center, an auto repair shop, a warehouse, and associated parking. The applicant seeks to operate an approximate 630 square foot temporary pet quarantine shelter in the existing 3,831 square foot building located along the front lot line and containing the existing daycare center. The applicant is not proposing any exterior work to the structure. The only interior work will be the separation of the unit, new flooring and painting, and the cat shelter will be fully indoors. As shown here, the proposed facility will assume the spaces currently occupied by preschool A and preschool B rooms on the floor plans provided by the applicant. The applicant already stated that how the cats will be there for once a month and will be quarantined for 48 hours per Massachusetts state law for animals transported from out of state. New adoptive owners will come pick up the cats, or they will be delivered. The applicant indicated in the findings that this use will improve the landscaping of the parcel. However, it does not appear that the applicant is proposing any landscaping improvements. Staff believes this reference was an error, but the applicant should clarify. And staff notes that parking is not allowed within the front yard, and that the depiction of parking reflects at least one parking stall that is in the front yard by the eastern driveway. This spot right here is where we're speaking. The applicant indicates in the findings that this development will create part-time jobs. The applicant should clarify the number of employees anticipated. The applicant should discuss, already kind of discussed, but if any more details are known about the hours of operation, including cat pickups, and staff understands generally that the cats will be delivered once a month on a Friday or Saturday, and pickups will generally be on the Sunday if they are delivered on the Saturday. I'm sorry, if they're delivered on the Friday. The applicant indicates that there are approximately 30 unstriped parking spaces that informally exist within the paved parking area on site. The parking spaces in front of the fencing separating the buildings, there's fencing that exists where it says Gate 2 and Gate 1. So the parking spaces in front of the fencing separating the buildings will be used by the rescue and the daycare. The spaces to the rear of the fencing will be used by the garage, warehousing, open storage on site. The existing proposed uses require a total of 25 parking spaces, which is 7 spaces for the daycare for the teachers, and then 3 spaces for the cat rescue based on the square footage of the area. The garage requires 3 spaces, and 12 spaces are required for the warehouse and storage. The applicant should clarify how directions to the site, including available parking, will be communicated for deliveries and pickups. And the applicant should also, again, never mind that comment, we're good, strike that. That's all I have.
But you're indicating more parking than is required currently, to clarify.
That is correct. They are indicating more parking is available than is required on site.
If the applicant would like to answer some of these questions.
Sure. Through the chair, with respect to the number of employees, the employees would be approximately 2. This is a husband and wife, mostly predominantly operation, so they would be the employees. They run the organization, and they'd be the employees. In terms of communication, how this, I think the comment was with respect to how if visitors to the site, how it would be communicated as to where they park, I believe. Yep. So there's a couple of ways. One is through their nonprofit's website. The other is just through email communication, text communication. This is not an elaborate operation here. They would, and it's not a high volume type of a situation. So they would be in communication, direct communication with the adoptive parents that would be coming to the site to pick up the kittens. The landscaping, yes, that was a typo. That was we did fail to omit the landscaping. There's not going to be any landscaping whatsoever. As it was mentioned, there's not proposed to be any site improvements whatsoever. Everything is internal to the building. Very, very boring project insofar as site development is concerned. No new lighting, no new parking, no new restriping of parking spaces, and no new landscaping. I think that covers the bulk of the comments, and happy to answer any other questions.
Is anyone here for 11 Canterbury Street or online? Yeah, go ahead, come forward. You got to speak into a microphone. Just state your name and city or town of residence.
Yes, Melvin Collins, 33 Canterbury Street, we own the property there. I'm not in disagreement with this. Actually, I support it. Okay, I have a couple of just general questions. If there are 30 cats and it's not going to morph into anything much greater than that, I have no concern whatsoever. So that's my primary concern.
The volume of, like, how many cats are coming through?
Right,
It's a great question.
right.
If-
Because I don't think we should become a dumping ground for all of New England, as an example, or the whole eastern coast. Okay, I understand this is supposed to be a nonprofit organization. Okay, I looked it up, and I couldn't find anywhere where they have 501c3 status. So I'd like to see, have that clarified. The principals themselves, they're not here to answer questions. I don't think they are residents of Massachusetts. So my concern is how much ties and how much commitment they're going to have to the community itself. Okay? And that's primarily it. Other than that, I think it's a good idea.
Okay, great, thank you. Do you have a sense of the volume, first question, of how many sort of this will be housing and?
Yes, Mr. Chair. The volume is about 20 plus or minus kittens. And again, that's once per month.
And is there anything else, I guess, that I want to be careful about what we can ask and should ask. Is there anything else, I think, about there's 20 about once a month, and this is like there's no sort of other things we need to know, I guess, from the city's perspective about the application vis-à-vis the nonprofit or anything?
No, I don't believe so, Mr. Chair. This is,
Yeah.
it's certainly again, this is a nonprofit, by the way. And I think this is, honestly, I'm not a cat person, I'm a dog person, but I think this is very good for cats, cat lovers. They're not looking to do anything that would be disruptive whatsoever to the neighborhood. It's about as an innocuous use as you could think of. And this is a manufacturing district and where you've got heavy use vehicles, machinery, noise, traffic. This is a pretty light lift, I think, in terms of the usage here.
Through the chair, I just want to offer, if there is any concern about the number of cats that come, you all have the authority to restrict or designate how many cats are allowed.
I guess I'll say for myself, it does indicate it in the finding of facts. So if they're straying wildly out of the finding of facts, that would be a reason for further sort of conversation, incitement. So I don't know, I feel strongly about it. Other folks answer. Is there anybody online for this application? Before we move forward. Anyone online? Yes, no? Nope, okay. All right, well, I guess I'll say just going for the board, this is pretty straightforward. I have rescued both cats and dogs from no-kill shelters in other states, and so I think this is a great service. Our loved pets came in this way, and so I think it's great. My only complaint would be that you should do it more than once a month, but other than that, it sounds, putting kittens with children sounds ridiculously adorable. So I don't have anything else, I think. It's straightforward, and again, it'll be sort of restricted to how much space, which is not that much, so there's only so much space you can put things in. Board Member Campanello.
Through the chair, I have no problem moving this forward. My only question is that the entrance, that's the exterior entrance, is that what will be used when people come and pick up the cats and for the to and from for this business?
That's correct.
Okay, and then there's an interior entrance because this was previously connected to the preschool. Is that going to be closed off as part of the internal improvements?
Believe so. There is going to be a demising wall that's going to be erected in order
Okay.
to separate both.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I should ask, there's waivers on page 4 of 7. Do you request the waivers?
I do, Mr. Chair.
Board Member Cortez.
Through the chair. I feel, as a member of the board, is to look at what the impact may have to the neighborhood and the area and so forth. So here I'm going to bring something that may be in line and may not be. But in any case, we're going to have children, and I understand that the building is completely divided internally. However, there are animals, basically cats on one side and children on the other side. And I'm thinking in what the Kia operation of cats is going to be some stuff that's going to be cleaned up there where this waste is going. Cats waste. Most likely cats probably going to be washed in there because it's an animal's care that requires this kind of a treatment for the animals there that have been watching. That's not being addressed here, which may have some impact to children right on the next door. Where is that cleanup stays planned? And I see some. Basically, I'm looking at some health issues to the neighborhood, which in this case are children or kids. And I don't. And if you follow me, I'm not sure if you are in line with this yet, but it's something that we should be concerned and to have it address it. Mr. Chair.
So, through the chair, this is, first of all, again, I do want to underscore the infrequency of the use here. It's pretty rare where a building is going to be really only used and occupied one time a month for such a short period of time. In terms of, I'm not discounting your comment, Mr. Cortez. I will say that my client, we don't have a specific express cleanup plan like you might have in a lab, for example. I know that certain biohazardous materials need to be handled in a certain way, disposed of in a certain way. My client really was educating me in terms of this whole process, and there are other regulations and codes that my client will have to adhere to in terms of the operation, maintenance, and care of the cats and a facility like this. So I really, all I can say is that my client is like any other more sort of specialty types of operators that are subject to other codes and regulations. They will have to adhere to those codes and regulations with respect to safety, health, et cetera. And there are certain building codes as well that they're going to have to adhere to, which Mr. Horn and his team will oversee as well in terms of the use and operations of this facility.
You won't wash the cats. They'll have litter, so they'll go and you'll clean up the litter.
Through the chair, and I don't know how the cat's care is done, what the process is, and somewhere where this is done, there must be some information on how, I don't know, but just over the top of my head, I can see this potential for health situations that I'm not sure if will probably, even if this is approved, that some requirement to contact the health department or whatever the department is for advice by looking at what this operation is and looking for advice to be to consider it to consider it. Not and that includes those situations of waste disposal or anything like that. And I'm not opposed to it, but I would put a condition that with, yes, I understand that you will follow up on that, but possibly if we approve, it would be upon, some contacts with the proper department, with the scout inspection or health department, for assistance and advice to see what needs to be done. They might come up and says, nothing is, no problem, we're fine. But on the other hand, we'll be safe.
Understood.
Board Member Barnhagen?
Through the chair. I'm generally okay with this. I will note that one of the perpetual conditions requires that the applicant run its business in accordance with all applicable government codes. I'm assuming that would include health and safety. So I think it's covered in recommendation 2. And I do want to emphasize that I think isolating those 2 rooms from the rest of the daycare is important, and it seems like that's what's going to happen. So that was a concern of mine, so I'm glad that's been addressed. So the other 28, 30 days, or, the month, this will just be vacant and it won't be in use? It's just like Friday to a Sunday once a month?
So during that quarantine period where the cats are actually there occupying the space, there's that period, and then every other day outside of that, there may be normal sort of maintenance that's done by the 2 employees.
Right, but there won't be any animals.
Just to prep the animals
Right.
to come. And then,
But there won't be any animals during that time period, it'll just be...
that's correct,
Right, okay.
yes. Yeah.
All right, no, I think I'm okay with this, thanks.
Board Member Sacco?
No additional comment. I'm in favor of this one. It's like a great proposal.
Thank you.
Okay. Amy Beth, did you have?
I was just going to say through the chair, just to address Board Member Cortez's condition, if you want to make sure that it's in there, you could always put a perpetual condition about animal waste being properly disposed between deliveries and not kept within the building.
Thank you, and that's what I exactly would like to have it.
Okay, number 3. Is that amenable to the applicant?
That's fine.
Okay. Is there anything else? In that case, I'll take a motion to close.
I'd like to make a motion to close.
Is there a second?
So move.
On the motion to close, Board Member Campanello?
Yes.
Board Member Cortez?
Yes.
Board Member Barnhagen?
Yes.
Board Member Sacco?
Yes.
My vote's yes. Is there a motion on 11 Canterbury Street?
I'd like to make a motion for 11 Canterbury Street for a special permit to allow kennel use in an MG2 zone, including the recommendations by staff on page 4 of 7 of the staff memo, with the addition of the perpetual condition number 3, and the waivers as requested on page 4 of 7 of staff memo.
Is there, yeah, yeah,
I didn't hear the condition.
Animal
Beth.
waste will be disposed of properly and not being kept within the building.
Thank you.
is there a second?
So move.
On the motion, Board Member Campanello?
Yes.
Board Member Cortez?
Yes.
Board Member Barnhagen?
Yes.
Board Member Sacco?
Yes.
My vote's yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Next up is 1112, I was going to say 1112, that's not right. 112 June Street.
Good evening to the Chair and the Board. My name is Mario Kodima. I'm the applicant for 112 June Street. Looking to get an application for extended and change the premise to add an ADU and also the stairwells. They're roughly, sorry.
It's okay, take your time.
We're looking to add an ADU on the third floor. The actual building, it's a two-family. It'll stay the same as it is, just going one floor up. It's going to be under 900 square feet. 9 spots, there's 6 spots of parking. We will looking to extend the stairs. We're looking for variance. which will be about 2.6 from the property line, which is better than the existing 1.6 on the, I believe, on the left farthest corner. There'll be enclosed stairs front and back to comply with code.
Okay. City staff.
Through the chair, this is Michelle Smith in the city's planning division. As was stated by the applicant, they're seeking a special permit to expand, alter, change an existing nonconforming structure. It's a business district, so this is a BL1 zoning district. It's a two-family, and really what they're doing is adding a full third floor to the structure. That third floor will be used as an ADU. From a zoning perspective, it's still a two-family, just got an ADU on top. From a code perspective, they'll have to meet all the requisite code requirements for essentially a three-family. But from zoning, it's just a two-family with an ADU. So the requirements for the two-family are really what are governing here in terms of the dimensional controls. So the lot itself is not conforming with respect to frontage and the side yard setback. You can see the house itself is kind of plan right on the civil plans or the site layout plan, where you can see the property line on the right-hand side. So everything is just kind of shifted towards that. Today, the portion of the structure that's the closest is about 1.5 feet. Which is where Amy Beth's cursor is there on the screen. So it's in the, sort of towards the rear. The applicant's looking to construct, as you can see on the plan, an addition, both in the rear and the front, in addition to the full third story, which essentially encloses and makes compliant, from a code perspective, both stairwells. So the stairs in the rear fully comply with the dimensional requirements. The stairs in the front encroach further than the existing stairs into that side yard setback. So again, the closest point today is 1.6. This will come closer than those stairs that are about 7 feet now, to about 2.2 feet at the nearest point, which is where Amy Beth's cursor was just on the screen. So that's really the main reason they're in front of you. On the third floor, the entire story is 895 square feet, so under 900 square feet. And then on each of the other stories, the expansion itself constitutes 292 square feet. So relatively small expansions for these stairwells to accommodate egress in a modernized fashion. No change for requirement in terms of frontage, it's just an existing nonconformity. In terms of by right options, they could add the ADU within the existing structure. They could also add that in a detached structure. The detached structure could be within 5 feet of the property line. So this is a little bit closer than that, but also, you know, not completely out of character given the existing location of that portion of the structure. They're not proposing to make any other alterations based on our conversations with them in terms of the parking arrangement, paving, or other improvements to the site. So if they do, those would need to comply with zoning requirements. While they indicate there are 6 parking spaces, there are no parking spaces that are required for the ADU, so it's not really something that's here for consideration. The property is really walkable, located within feet of a bus stop, and within a few hundred feet of other bus stops, and in an area that also has a mixed-use component, so you can actually walk and get food and other services in vicinity of the site, and it's located within our managed growth area in the long-range plan as it sort of relates to the corridor for transit there. I'm happy to answer any questions, but we don't have any other filings and haven't identified any other approvals that will be required for this at this point in time. We have recommendations for conditions of approval, which do include a few waivers, so I'll note that the applicant will want to make a request for those waivers. There are 4 of those. And those recommendations in terms of conditions of approval are on page 3. I would just note that I have realized that we say provide 1 copy of revised site plans. We should just clarify that those should be properly sealed, so stamped plans by a professional engineer or surveyor. Just to clarify, just given the plan that we've been provided, we have a survey of the property, but the proposed conditions aren't superimposed on that, and there is not a reference to that surveyed plan. So just want to clarify from an engineering standpoint, that's a requirement for the preparer. So we just want to make sure to have that. So if we can just add that those plans be properly sealed, that would be great. Otherwise, again, happy to answer questions. Thanks.
Since there's no one here,
I'm sorry?
There's no one here. Is there anybody online? No? Okay. Do you understand so the city has some recommendations. Have you seen the recommendations that the city has?
Yes, all the recommendations that the city has asked, we've complied with. Also for the stamped prints, I did bring them.
Okay,
I believe I gave them when I submitted the application with stamped on them.
okay. No problem. And are you requesting the waivers? I would suggest it.
Yes.
Great, thank you. Okay, this is pretty straightforward. So just for the purposes of our board, what is before us is not the ADU. We do not have oversight over the ADU. What we have oversight over is the increased, the changes vis-a-vis the stairwells, one of which is already existing, but it's enclosing it, and the other is the expanding it on the side. So for our purposes, while we should consider like what it's for and why the reasoning, our oversight of it is for those pieces and the changes of those non-conforming accordingly. And so I think every house in this neighborhood is a 3-decker. I have it enclosed, so it's going to what it looks like for mine. I think all of these changes make sense, and this is a really good neighborhood to have 3-deckers, so this would be a good addition, I think, to the neighborhood. And so for that, I'm a definite yes. Board Member Campanello.
Through the chair, this is pretty easy, yes.
Board Member Cortez.
To the chair, I actually, this is going to be good for the area. By completing this project, the way it is right now is going to be a really nice look and improvement for the area. So
Yes.
I have no problems with this.
Board Member Barnhagen.
Through the chair, I agree with everything that's been said. This is a pretty easy yes. It looks like a beautiful improvement to the neighborhood, and it is a really walkable, good neighborhood right there in that corner is lots of restaurants and shops and things. So I think it's well thought out, and I'll be a yes on this.
Board Member Sacco.
Through the chair, I agree with the board, ready to move forward.
In that case, since there's no one here, is there a motion to close?
I'd like to make a motion to close.
Is there a second?
So move.
On the motion to close, Board Member Campanello.
Yes.
Board Member Cortez.
Yes.
Board Member Barnhagen.
Yes.
Board Member Sacco.
Yes.
My vote's yes. Is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion on 112 June Street for a special permit to extend, alter, or change a privileged pre-existing non-conforming structure, including the recommendations of staff on page 3 of 7, including the amendment to number 1, that the plans are properly sealed, and also the waivers as requested on pages 3 and 4 of 7 of the staff memo.
Is there a second?
So move.
On the motion, Board Member Campanello.
Yes.
Board Member Cortez.
Yes.
Board Member Barnhagen.
Yes.
My vote's yes. Thank you so much, Stuart.
Thank you.
We're waiting for Amy Beth to move the thing forward. The slideshow. You get a slideshow. Yeah.
Did you vote?
Oh, did I vote? I vote yes. Oh, did we not vote on it? Oh, I'm so sorry. I got distracted. On the motion, Board Member Campanello.
Oh, yes.
Board Member Cortez.
Yes.
I thought we voted. Board Member Barnhagen.
Yes. Didn't you miss Matt?
I am a yes.
And I'm a yes.
Okay. And Matt's a yes.
Yeah. Sorry. I thought we were. Yeah, now we're waiting for you. Thank you for, sorry that you're leaving.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. I've been very proud to be a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals of Worcester. And I hope you all continue the great work, and thank you so much for the staff for everything that they do for the zoning board and for the members of the zoning board. So thank you, everyone. This is honestly a goal fulfilled and a dream come true. So thank you.
Well, we appreciate your service on the board, Shannon. We'll miss you greatly, but understand that this will hopefully restore some balance in your life. So we wish you well in your future endeavors and hope you'll serve on a board or commission again. And really appreciate all your thoughtful contributions and articulate way of commenting and validating what folks often feel. So thank you for that. We'll miss you.
You know, let Larry be a guide. You can always come back.
Oh, thank you.
Great job.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. We will discuss board policies and elections next time when we have a full board. We have to discuss it every year, so we will discuss it when people are back. And we do have minutes, so we have a little bit of things left. Has everybody had a chance to see the minutes? If I could get a motion on the minutes?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the December 8th meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
On the motion, Board Member Campanello?
Yes.
Board Member Cortez?
Yes.
Board Member Barnhagen?
Abstain, I was not there.
Board Member Sacco?
Yes.
My vote's yes. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.